Hello and welcome to X and Y Gaming Casually Competitive. And in today's video, by the way, I'm selling my entire Yu-Gi-Oh collection, 300 straight up, and then all these cards, 3 boxes of both Speed Duel and Master Rule 5 cards, 10 Speed Duel decks, which we'll actually be taking a look at today, the Cyber Darkness budget deck, and the Sacred Beast and the Shadal's deck. Also, both these were built with the help of Duel Devastator. I guess I should point out now that all of these decks are for what I call impromptu Yu-Gi-Oh! So I can carry around a handful of Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks at any given point in time and play someone somewhere. It has actually legitimately happened, and I'm very proud of myself. So let's get into the look at the 10 decks that are included in my collection. So the Knight of Legend deck is one of the ones, the 10 that I decided to stay maintained and build, because I love Gaia the Fierce Knight, and the ability to draw 2 cards every time you deal piercing damage is pretty great. There's one Curse of Dragon, a charging Gaia the Fierce Knight for its free summon ability, Santa Claus because kaijus are neat, 3 Command Knight for their attack boost and lockout, that's always fun, a Blade Knight
because I own him,
Polymerization for the fusion, Dragon Champion also gets the effects. The Summoner's Art, 3 of them, so that you can search out Gaia and or Curse, the one of. 2 block attacks. I normally wouldn't like block attack, but the fact that you can just get your opponent's monsters into defense position to then ram into with Gaia, it's too easy, it's too good, couldn't resist. United We Stand, it makes them bigger, makes them beefier, offerings to the doomed. The ability to destroy, destroy or just send? Yeah, destroy the target, and also you skip your next draw phase, is alleviated by the fact that Gaia is constantly drawing 2 cards every time he does damage. And then Reinforcement of the Army, so that you can search out your Command Knight. Or Blade Knight, you know, whatever you're feeling like. And then 3 Gaia the Dragon Champions, because they also get the effect. The effect of which is that anytime Gaia deals damage, you draw 2 cards and then discard 1. Spellproof Armor is probably one of the more bizarre decks I have, just because I think it could be streamlined more. But anyway, Spellproof Armor makes it to where if you ever control a non-machine in your graveyard, and I guess you don't control them in the graveyard, but if a non-machine ever finds its way in your graveyard, then your skill gets flipped over and you don't get to use it anymore. But it never happens in here. So you flip it over, and then all your machine monsters that you control are unaffected by your opponent's spell cards. And also, you can normal summon machine normal monsters with 1 less tribute. So that's pretty nice. I really like that. So we run 3 Ally of Justice Colossalus, and that's just a free 2300 right to the board. 3 Blast Spheres for your opponent to attack into, to attach onto and destroy them and take burn damage. 3 Trains so you can flip them up and draw. 3 Jinzo, so that, yes, when you combine it with the Spellproof Armor, that means your opponent can't activate traps, the traps are already up or negated, and any of the spell cards aren't going to affect him, much less any of the other machines anyway. I love it. It's fantastic. 2 cost down so you can get Jinzo out for free. A Hammer Shot, because I only have 2 offerings to the doomed. The idea was that the previous build of this deck was all about drawing, which is why the train's in here. And then I just thought it was fine to leave in here. There's also 3 Allure of Darkness, because they're all dark, so there's still drawing, a bunch of drawing going on. And I really, really like playing with this deck. It's a lot of fun and very strong. I want this deck to work so bad, but it's so hard. So Fury of Thunder, while you control Slifer, it lets you draw until you have 4 cards. And also if Slifer's in your graveyard, you can shuffle it back into your deck. Each effect can only be used once per duel. So there's 2 Slifer the Sky Dragons, who is sadly one of the not best, not the better Egyptian gods. He's my favorite in terms of design. It's a dragon, and the fact that it can have mad attack power is great. So the not so great part is that it has no protection to speak of. So this thing can be Book of Mooned super easily. It's super sad. I'm sad, but Slifer the Sky Dragon looks beautiful. And there's 3 Delta the Magnet Warriors and 3 Beta the Magnet Warriors. The main combos, you want to summon this to send this. And then there's a Rock Spirit for a free summon. I also like the idea of Block Golem and 2 Giant Rats, so that you can Giant Rat into a Block Golem and then tribute him to get your guys back for a tribute. I only use the magnets with Yugi because it's Yugi, and I thought this will be fine. I don't know, I personally feel there should be a little bit more synergy. I don't know what cards to add to suggest that. This is why I don't work at Konami. You get so much value off of the raw one, and just arguably a good amount of value off this one. They're not bad effects, but the fact that you don't get a free normal summon. By the way, there's a Foolish Burial for setup. 3 magnetic fields, because especially when you use it with these guys, it's pretty broken. And drop off. Why? I don't know, but it's there. When I first built the Into the Darkness Below deck, God, I had no idea what I was thinking. But to see it where it is now, it's hilarious. So there's 3 Legends, 3 Opticlocks, 3 Gilgarths. They're all level 4 normal fiend monsters with 1800 attack. They're really easy to get out because you just normal summon them. And by the way, Into the Darkness Below lets you discard 1 to draw a card, specifically one of these only. Or if you have 4 more fiend normal monsters with different names in your graveyard, you can add a monster from your deck to your hand. That's pretty cool, I guess. Honestly, I don't think I use that second part of the effect. I probably don't use this deck to its fullest ability. I just absolutely love the fact that you can Into the Darkness Below, discard Gilgarth, Opticlops, or Lejeune, draw into, and then play Heatwave. That specifically states at the beginning, it has to be the first thing you do, but this doesn't count towards that, against it, or so you can use your skill to draw into Heatwave and then also still play it. And this just makes it to where neither you or your opponent can play normal monsters until the end of, or the start of your next turn. So, I mean, it's really good, especially when everything you want to summon doesn't really care about having effects. It's pretty great. Creature Seizure is at 1, so each player gives the opponent their monster they control, but you have to choose a face-up normal monster. Again, super easy. It's a great way to get your opponent's monsters. Faustian Bargain's at 2. Maybe I should take it down to 1, but you target a special summon monster on the field, send it to their graveyard, and then special summon a level 4 monster, a normal monster from your hand. And I don't know, that seems like a really great effect. Maybe the fact that it has to come from your hand is why it's not as good, and maybe it should be swatched out for 2 Creature Seizures. That's up to you. Order to Charge is a great card, and what you do is you target a non-token normal monster you control to tribute that normal monster, and if you do, you destroy a monster your opponent controls. It's just, again, really, really great way to use your normal monsters to your advantage. The Forceful Checkpoint, if your opponent attacks, you look at their hand. Great way to gain knowledge. Also Speed Duels, maybe not a lot of cards in the hand, but if, you know, there's 1 in 3 chance it's a monster card, and if it is, the attack's negated. It's pretty nice. Zoma the Spirit summons itself in defense, and it's an 1800 attack, 500 defense monster that when it's destroyed, your opponent is inflicted damage equal to the attack of the monster that destroyed it. It's pretty great. I like it. And Lost Wind, if your opponent special summons a monster, you can recycle it out of the graveyard. Well, the first thing it does, you activate it, you target something that was special summoned, its attack is halved, and also its effect is negated. So we're trying to stop our opponent from summoning effect monsters, and I don't know, my reasoning was you missed the window for Heatwave and they got a monster in there, but luckily enough you have some backup to stop them being from super strong. Inner Conflict is easily the better Bakura skill of here, and I also should point out that if you play this on the Edo Pro program, it seems that they've modified the card to actually be edited, eroded, if you will. So you activate the skill during your main phase, and once per duel, you can pay half your life points, you'll never not be able to do that, to take control of 1 monster your opponent controls until the end phase. The only stipulation is that it cannot attack during this turn. And the thing they've added on is an additional stipulation that states it also can't be tributed. It's like, oh, well, there goes that. That's like half of the functionality of the card right off the bat. I mean, this is honestly one of the most straightforward copy-pasted decks I've ever made to use for Speed Duels. But 3 Breaker the Magical Warrior, because he's 1900 on summon, and you can remove the token for, or counter or whatever for destroy a spell trap. Kelbeck is great. Anything that attacks it is returned to the hand after damage calculation. Fantastic effect. 2 Air Knight Parshath, really, really great. 1 tribute. You can Inner Conflict and summon it, or just Valhalla it out. I guess we'll get to that in a second, but great easy spell card monster, and it does damage. It does piercing damage, but also even if you attack directly with it, either which way, if it does damage, you draw a card. It's great. Guardian Angel Joan, you'll probably never attribute summon this. It has been done before, but when the card destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you gain life points equal to that monster's original attack in the graveyard. A really great way to keep your life points up if you're worried about that sort of thing, but 9 times out of 10, it's really not that big of a deal, unless you're like, you gotta get some extra points for another Cosmic Cyclone or something. Valhalla Hall of the Fallen, it's at 3. Kind of bricky when you have too much, but you definitely want to see it in your hand, because you can just play down an Air Knight or even a Joan just straight for free, and that is, I feel personally, really great. 2 Book of Moons, 2 Cosmic Cyclones, pay 1,000 life points, banish a spell trap, and then Book of Moon is just turn a thing face down. I mean, staple cards here. 2 Widespread Ruins is summoning attacks so you can destroy a monster on the field. I would just like to point out, it's a monster your opponent controls, but specifically with the highest attack. So, I mean, you know, why wouldn't you want the thing with the highest attack going? But just keep that in mind. It's not really a choice, but it's also not really a bad mandatory option. Is it an option if it's mandatory? Whatever. 2 Zone of the Spirits. It's a great effect, great card, great deck. It barely loses, and I really like it.